Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. Have you ever held a penny and wondered if it might be worth more than just 1 cent? What if that tiny copper coin in your pocket could be your ticket to a small fortune? Well, today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in American history, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It might just be one of the most underappreciated treasures hiding in plain sight. Let's start by setting the stage. The year is 1917. The United States is on the brink of entering World War I. Woodrow Wilson is president, and the country is experiencing massive changes in industry, society, and economics. Amid all of this transformation, a small copper coin is being minted, one that would go on to become legendary in the world of numismatics. This coin isn't just any penny. It belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and who better than the great emancipator himself? The front of the coin shows a side portrait of Lincoln, solemn and strong, while the reverse proudly displays 2 wheat stalks, symbols of prosperity and growth. Now, 1917 wasn't the first year this design was minted, but it is one of the most intriguing. That's because even though millions of these coins were made, only a small number have survived in pristine condition. And as any serious coin collector will tell you, condition is everything. A coin that has passed through thousands of hands, sat in drawers, or been tossed into jars for decades will show wear, and wear reduces value. But an uncirculated 1917 penny, one that looks as fresh as the day it was minted, that's an entirely different story. There are 3 types of 1917 Lincoln Wheat Pennies: those minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, those from Denver with a small D under the date, and those from San Francisco with an S mark. Each of these has its own unique appeal, but the rarest and most valuable are the ones that were not only preserved in mint state, but struck with precision and full detail. Sharp lines, a clean rim, and original red luster can transform a coin from common to extraordinary. But here's where it gets really exciting. Most 1917 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that show signs of wear are worth just $1 or $2. Still, if you find one in better shape, especially one with a Denver or San Francisco mint mark, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds. However, if you happen to come across a 1917 penny that was never circulated, has retained its full red color, and has been graded MS67 or higher by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, then you're in for a stunning surprise. In the world of coin collecting, top-tier condition is everything. Collectors are willing to pay jaw-dropping amounts for a coin that looks exactly as it did when it left the U.S. Mint over 100 years ago. And yes, that includes the humble penny. Now imagine a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny that has survived the decades in perfect condition, no scratches, no dulling, no wear. Imagine the crisp features of Lincoln's face, the deep detail of the wheat stalks on the back, and the brilliant red color of untouched copper. These are the unicorns of the numismatic world. And when one surfaces, the bidding wars begin. So what is the highest known value a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny has ever reached? Are you ready for it? A single 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in nearly perfect mint condition, once sold at auction for a staggering total of $255,000. That's right. What started as just 1 cent, a tiny copper disc meant to be spent and forgotten, became a small fortune in the right hands. This extraordinary value didn't come from a rare error or a secret marking. It came purely from immaculate preservation, rarity in that condition, and the high demand from collectors who would stop at nothing to own a true piece of American history. Now, before you go digging through every penny jar in your house, keep in mind, coins of this value are rare, but they do exist. And the magic lies in possibility. The 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny reminds us that history is alive, sometimes hiding in your change. With a little luck and a trained eye, that ordinary-looking penny could turn out to be worth more than your car, maybe even your home. So next time you get change at the grocery store, take a closer look at that copper coin in your hand. Is the date 1917? Is Lincoln's face clear and sharp? Does it shine with that original reddish hue? You might just be holding a piece of American history. And maybe, just maybe, a treasure worth $255,000. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories about rare coins, hidden wealth, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Who knows? The next video might just help you discover a fortune in your pocket. Top 2. What if I told you that a single penny, just 1 cent, could be worth more than a luxury car, a college education, or even a house in some parts of the country? Sounds impossible, right? But the truth is, there's a coin out there that has turned heads, sparked bidding wars, and made collectors open their wallets wide, and it's none other than the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It's a coin so common, so unassuming, that millions of Americans have probably handled it without even thinking twice. But hidden among the ordinary are the extraordinary, rare gems that carry both historical weight and incredible value. And today, we're diving into the story behind this little copper marvel from 1941. So, grab your coin jars and get ready, because you might just be sitting on a fortune. Let's begin by taking a step back in time. The year is 1941. The world is on edge as World War II is raging in Europe and Asia. America, still recovering from the Great Depression, hasn't yet entered the war, but the winds of change are blowing. Factories are ramping up production, families are adjusting to new economic realities, and coins are being minted by the millions to keep the economy flowing. Among the countless coins struck that year, the Lincoln Wheat Penny continued its steady run. First introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The obverse shows Lincoln's thoughtful profile, a design by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse displays 2 simple wheat stalks curving along the sides with the words, 1 cent, proudly in the center. This reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, giving the coin its famous nickname, the Wheat Penny. In 1941, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln Wheat Pennies at 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, while Denver pennies are marked with a small D, and San Francisco ones carry an S. Together, over 1 billion pennies were produced that year, a record-breaking mintage for its time. So you might be wondering, if there were so many of these coins made, why is the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny considered so special? The answer lies in the details. While billions were minted, only a few survived in perfect condition. The vast majority of 1941 pennies were quickly circulated, used for everyday transactions, worn down, and forgotten. Over time, most of them lost their original shine, developed scratches, or were damaged. That's why condition is the most critical factor when it comes to value. A 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny that's been circulated is still collectible, worth maybe a few cents to a few dollars depending on the grade. But if you come across one that has remained untouched, uncirculated, and retains its brilliant red copper luster from over 80 years ago, then you're looking at something truly special. These coins are rare because very few were preserved so carefully. And those that were, especially if professionally graded at MS 67 or higher, can fetch serious money. But there's more. While condition is key, some rare varieties and minting errors also boost the value of 1941 pennies. These include double die obverse, where elements like the date or "In God We Trust" appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Collectors go wild for these errors because they represent unique mistakes in history, making them highly desirable. And then there's the magic of provenance. When a coin comes from a famous collection or has been featured in historical displays, its value can multiply. Combine this with perfect condition, full red color, sharp details, and you've got a coin that's not just rare, it's legendary. So, let's get to the part everyone wants to know: just how valuable can one of these pennies be? Well, over the years, high-grade 1941 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have sold at auction for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. But among them, there is one that stands above the rest. A 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny that had everything: flawless condition, rich copper luster, and a rare, pristine mint state, went under the hammer and stunned everyone with its final sale price. That coin, a single 1-cent piece from 1941, sold for an astounding $215,000. Yes, you heard that right. What once could have bought a stick of gum is now worth more than some luxury sports cars. That's the power of rarity, condition, and historical appeal. And this is why collectors spend years hunting for the perfect coin, hoping to find that one-in-a-million piece hiding in an old drawer, a forgotten jar, or an inherited collection. So next time you're sifting through your change, or maybe helping your grandparents clean out their attic, pay close attention. Check the dates. Look for the shine. Examine the details. Because the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny may still be out there, waiting for someone to recognize its worth. Thank you for watching, and if you love uncovering stories of hidden treasures, rare coins, and surprising value hiding in plain sight, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. Who knows, your next penny might just be worth $215,000. Stay curious, and keep looking closely. You never know what history might be resting in the palm of your hand. Top 3. There's something magical about old coins. Every scratch, every mark, every shine, tells a story. And sometimes those stories are more valuable than we could ever imagine. Today, we're talking about one of the most iconic and widely collected coins in American history, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. A coin so familiar that it may have passed through your hands at some point. But here's the twist: what looks like an ordinary 1-cent coin can sometimes be worth a life-changing amount of money. At first glance, the 1945 penny might not seem like anything special. It's small, copper, and has the well-known image of Abraham Lincoln on the front. The reverse features 2 simple wheat stalks curving along the words, 1 cent, giving the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. But while billions of these coins were produced in the mid-1940s, there are a few very specific reasons why the 1945 edition is more than just pocket change. Let's rewind to the year 1945. The world is changing fast. World War II is drawing to a close. Soldiers are returning home, families are being reunited, and America is preparing for a post-war boom. In the middle of all this, the U.S. Mint is operating at full force, striking millions of coins to meet growing demand. Among them was the Lincoln Wheat Penny, still in circulation since its first appearance in 1909. That year, 1945, saw Lincoln Wheat Pennies minted in Philadelphia, with no mint mark, Denver, with a small d under the date, and San Francisco, marked with an S. Combined, more than 1 billion of these coins were made. That's right, over 1 billion. So, naturally, it begs the question, if so many were created, how can any of them be worth more than a single cent? It's a good question, and the answer lies in the details. You see, when coins are mass-produced, most of them are quickly tossed into circulation. They get handled, dropped, scratched, worn down, and even damaged. Over time, their condition fades. But a very small number of these coins, an incredibly rare handful, were somehow preserved. Maybe they were stored in a roll and forgotten. Maybe they were part of a collector's set. Maybe they were tucked away as a keepsake. Whatever the reason, some 1945 wheat pennies have survived the decades in stunning, untouched condition, and this is where the story gets fascinating. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. A coin that has survived in mint condition, no scratches, no discoloration, no signs of wear, is known as being in uncirculated or mint state. And the higher that grade, the more collectors are willing to pay. A 1945 penny graded MS67 or higher with original red luster is no longer just a coin, it's a treasure. But there's more. Some 1945 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are worth even more due to unique errors or striking anomalies. These include things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. When collectors spot these kinds of flaws, the ones that came from the mint itself, the value can skyrocket. That's because these mistakes make the coin one of a kind, and rarity always drives up value. Now let's talk about the demand. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most beloved coins in U.S. history. It's iconic, easy to recognize, and was in use for nearly 50 years. Many collectors start their journey with the Wheat Penny because it's affordable, interesting, and widely available. But as collectors grow more serious, they begin hunting for the best of the best, high-grade, flawless examples that are incredibly hard to find. And among them, the 1945 issue stands tall as one of the most sought after. Imagine holding a penny in your hand that's over 75 years old, yet looks as if it just left the mint yesterday. The detail on Lincoln's coat is crisp. His face is bold and perfectly struck. The wheat stalks on the reverse are deeply defined. The shine of the red copper is brilliant, catching the light just right. That level of perfection is so rare, it's almost mythical, and when one of those coins surfaces at auction, the bidding is nothing short of intense. Now, most 1945 pennies you'll find in circulation today might be worth a few cents to a few dollars, especially in decent condition. A nicer example, maybe in a lower mint state, could fetch $50 to a few $100s. But what happens when you take a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in almost perfect, museum-quality condition, combine it with a rare variety or mint error, and offer it up at an elite collector's auction? That's when the magic happens. Because one such coin, a stunning, pristine, mint-state example of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, was once sold for a jaw-dropping, show-stopping, unbelievable amount. A coin that started life as just 1 cent turned out to be a collector's dream, a symbol of history, and a true national treasure, and that penny sold for an astonishing $195,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single copper penny from 1945, worth just 1 cent at the time, now valued at nearly $200,000. All because it was rare, well-preserved, and deeply desired by collectors around the world. So before you toss that old penny aside or let it fall to the bottom of your junk drawer, take a closer look. You never know. You might be holding on to a piece of history. A coin that has lived through the end of World War II, the rise of modern America, and the turning tides of history, and still holds a value far beyond its face. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins and hidden value. If you love stories like this, about treasures hiding in plain sight, pieces of history that could be sitting in your change jar right now, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap the bell so you never miss another hidden gem story. And who knows? The next coin you find might just be worth $195,000. Keep looking. Keep collecting. And always stay curious. Top 4. What if I told you that a tiny copper coin, barely larger than the tip of your finger, could hold a story rich in history and a value that could change your life? Today, we're exploring one of the hidden treasures of American coinage, the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it's just a simple 1-cent piece, easily overlooked and often tossed aside. But look closer, and you'll discover this humble coin could be a secret fortune in your pocket. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins ever minted in the United States. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it marked a monumental shift in U.S. currency. It was the first regular-issue coin to feature a real historical figure. For decades, the wheat penny became a part of everyday American life, passed from hand to hand, tucked into coin purses, saved in piggy banks, and used in countless transactions. But among the billions produced, a few, just a precious few, have become legendary. The year is 1949. The world is still adjusting after the end of World War II. America is entering a new era of prosperity. Technology is booming, suburbs are growing, and optimism fills the air. During this period of national renewal, the U.S. Mint continued to produce the beloved Lincoln Wheat Penny, now a staple of daily commerce. That year, the penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Together, these mints produced over 200 million pennies that bore the 1949 date. So how can a coin that's so common, with hundreds of millions made, be worth anything more than 1 cent, that's where the real magic lies. While most 1949 Lincoln pennies are worth only a few cents, and some in better shape might fetch a couple of dollars, there are a few rare examples that are worth far, far more. And the reason all comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. First, let's talk about condition. The overwhelming majority of 1949 pennies were spent, pocketed, circulated, and worn down over time. But every now and then, a coin avoids that fate. Maybe it was saved as a keepsake, maybe it was part of an untouched roll, or maybe it was set aside by someone who saw something special. Whatever the reason, these few coins were preserved in what collectors call mint state, meaning they were never circulated and still look as fresh as the day they were struck. The sharper the detail, the brighter the copper luster, the fewer the imperfections, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny in mint state condition, especially graded MS66 or higher, is already a prize. But when you cross into the elite ranks of MS67 or MS68, those incredibly rare grades, that's when the value soars. There are so few examples in this kind of pristine condition that collectors will pay extraordinary amounts to add one to their collection. Now, combine that with other factors, like a rare mint error, a double die, or even a strong strike with full original red coloring, and you've got a coin that transcends its everyday origin. Suddenly, this tiny penny becomes a rare gem, sought after by collectors and historians alike. One of the most remarkable things about coin collecting is that it turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. A simple penny, often overlooked and undervalued, becomes a window into the past, a piece of American history frozen in time. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny tells the story of a country rebuilding and rising. And for those rare coins that have survived the decades untouched, that story is told in sharp lines, unblemished surfaces, and glowing copper. It's important to note that most 1949 Wheat pennies you'll find today, even in decent shape, are not going to be worth a fortune. You might get a few cents, maybe a couple dollars for a cleaner one. But the coins that change the game are the ones in near perfect condition, certified by trusted grading companies, and preserved with the kind of care few coins ever receive. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. Among all the 1949 Lincoln Wheat pennies out there, one coin stood above the rest. Immaculate. Untouched. Radiant with original red luster. Graded at the highest levels. A coin so rare and perfect that collectors saw it not as a penny, but as a crown jewel. That single coin, a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny, once sold at auction for a jaw-dropping total of $175,000. Yes, a 1 cent. Top 5. What if one of the most overlooked objects in your daily life, something so small and familiar, held a secret value beyond your wildest imagination? Something you might have walked past, dropped in a coin jar, or spent without a second thought. Today, we're going to take you deep into the story of a humble coin, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny, a 1 cent piece that could be worth far more than anyone ever expected. When most people think of rare coins, they imagine ancient silver, gold doubloons, or coins from distant lands. But some of the most valuable and collectible treasures in the coin world are hiding right here at home, in the everyday pocket change of mid-20th century America. And among them, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny is a quiet legend, a sleeper coin with a history of surprises. Let's go back to the year 1950. The United States is moving into a new decade. The world has just emerged from World War II. The Cold War is beginning to take shape. Television is making its way into American homes, and the country is experiencing a new wave of growth and hope. Amid this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continues its steady work, producing coins for commerce, including the trusted Lincoln Wheat penny, a staple of American currency since 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Abraham Lincoln, with his iconic profile on the front of the coin, represented honesty, leadership, and strength. On the reverse, 2 wheat stalks, simple, symmetrical, and symbolic of America's agricultural roots. This design would run until 1958, making the Wheat Penny one of the most recognized and beloved coins in American history. In 1950, Lincoln Wheat Pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, with no mint mark, Denver, with a D, and San Francisco, with an S. Combined, these mints struck over 270 million pennies that year. That's a staggering number. But as we've learned time and again in the world of numismatics, quantity does not always mean common. Because within those millions lies a small number of coins that are anything but ordinary. Most of the 1950 pennies went straight into circulation. They were used to buy candy bars, newspapers, postage stamps, and sodas. They jingled in the pockets of factory workers, school kids, soldiers, and teachers. These pennies lived full lives, and as a result, they suffered wear, scratches, dings, and discoloration. Today, the vast majority of 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies you find will be in worn, circulated condition, worth a few cents, maybe $1 or $2 if you're lucky. But then, there are the exceptions. Some 1950 Wheat Pennies were set aside before they ever saw use. They were carefully preserved in original rolls, coin albums, or tucked away by collectors and dealers who recognized their potential. These coins, known as uncirculated or mint state, have survived the passage of time with their sharp details intact. Lincoln's profile is crisp, the wheat stalks are fully visible, and the original reddish copper luster still shines brightly. And it's these coins that attract serious attention from collectors, especially those that have been professionally graded at MS66, MS67, or even higher. A coin with perfect surfaces, full red color, and no signs of wear becomes not just rare, it becomes a prize. The higher the grade, the smaller the surviving population, and the more intense the demand becomes. Then there's another layer of value: the mint errors. Occasionally, a penny is struck slightly off-center, or the die doubles the image, creating what collectors call a double die. Sometimes the mint mark is punched more than once, or a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet. These mistakes, created accidentally during the minting process, make the coin unique, and uniqueness is the heartbeat of value in the coin world. So when you combine all of these factors, the age, the condition, the rarity of flawless specimens, and the presence of any mint errors, you get a very different picture of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It's no longer just a piece of spare change. It becomes a historical artifact, a symbol of post-war America, a miniature piece of art, and in some cases, a highly valuable asset. It's important to remember, not every 1950 penny is valuable. In fact, most are still worth only face value. But once in a while, someone discovers one in a collection, a family heirloom, or tucked away in an old cigar box, a coin that's in near perfect condition, untouched by time, gleaming like the day it was minted, and one of those coins, a flawless, beautifully preserved, mint state 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, shocked the coin world when it appeared at auction. Collectors battled fiercely. Bidding paddles flew. The price climbed higher and higher as one bidder after another tried to claim it. And then, at last, the final gavel fell. That 1-cent coin, born in 1950, sold for an astounding total of $150,000. Yes, a penny. A coin that once bought a stick of gum, now worth more than most new cars. That is the true wonder of numismatics. It's not always about gold or silver. Sometimes it's about copper, about history, about condition, about stories. So the next time you reach into your change jar, or glance at an old penny lying in a drawer, don't overlook it. Check the date. Look at the details. You could be holding something incredibly special. You could be holding a treasure that's been hiding in plain sight for over 70 years. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed diving into the hidden world of rare coins and surprising fortunes, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story like this. Who knows, your next penny might just be worth $150,000. Stay curious, keep collecting, and remember, sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. Top 6. Have you ever thought about how many coins you've held in your lifetime? Dozens? Hundreds? Maybe thousands? Now imagine if one of those tiny copper pieces, something you probably never thought twice about, could actually be worth a fortune. Believe it or not, there are rare coins out there hiding in plain sight. And today, we're unlocking the story of one of the most overlooked yet fascinating coins in American history, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it's just a penny. A single cent, easy to miss, easy to dismiss. But what if I told you that this small coin, minted over 70 years ago, has become a legendary piece for collectors around the world? What if I told you that, under the right circumstances, it could be worth tens, even hundreds, of thousands of dollars? Let's go back in time. The year is 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower is in the White House. The Korean War is winding down. Families across America are buying their first televisions, watching black and white programs that will shape pop culture for decades. The country is booming, and optimism is in the air. In the middle of this all-American era, the U.S. Mint quietly continued producing a coin that had already become a national icon, the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Since 1909, this penny has carried the face of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of honesty, integrity, and American ideals. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse shows Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse features two stalks of wheat flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America. It's a simple design, but a powerful one, so powerful, in fact, that it would last nearly 50 years before being changed. In 1953, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced at 3 different mints. Philadelphia minted the most, and these coins bear no mint mark. Denver's version includes a small D beneath the date, and San Francisco's carries an S. In total, hundreds of millions of these pennies were struck. That means the 1953 Lincoln penny is far from rare when we look at production numbers alone. But here's where the story takes a turn. Most of those pennies went straight into circulation. They were used to buy candy bars, school lunches, newspapers, and bubble gum. They jangled in pockets, sat in drawers, and wore down over time. They were spent, saved, lost, and forgotten. And today, most surviving 1953 pennies show clear signs of age, scratches, discoloration, wear and tear. However, a small handful of these coins had a different fate. Some 1953 Lincoln Wheat pennies were never spent. They were set aside, preserved in coin rolls, kept in collections, or forgotten in mint sets. These untouched coins, known in the numismatic world as mint state, retained their original luster, sharp details, and beautiful copper-red color. These are the coins that attract serious attention from collectors. And as with all things collectible, condition is king. A 1953 penny that's circulated may only be worth a few cents, maybe a few dollars if it's in decent shape. But a coin in mint condition, especially one that grades MS66, MS67, or higher, becomes significantly more valuable. That's because the number of these high-grade coins is very, very low. Now, let's add another layer to the story: mint errors. Occasionally, a coin is struck incorrectly at the mint. These errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, or coins struck on the wrong type of metal. These kinds of mistakes are incredibly rare, and collectors absolutely love them. Combine a flawless condition with a unique mint error, and you're looking at a coin that becomes a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Another important factor is the color of the coin. Numismatists categorize copper coins like the 1953 penny as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN, depending on how well the original copper color has been preserved. The brightest, most vivid red coins are the most valuable because they appear exactly as they did when they left the mint. So what happens when all the stars align? What if you find a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny that is in absolutely pristine condition, uncirculated, with brilliant red color, razor-sharp details, and possibly even a rare error? Then you're not holding just a coin. You're holding a treasure. You're holding a piece of American history that tells a story of its time, a coin that has survived through decades unchanged, untouched by the world. And when one of these elite examples goes up for auction, collectors from around the globe take notice. They bid, they compete, they push the price higher and higher. And eventually, someone walks away owning a tiny piece of copper that's no longer worth 1 cent, but something far greater. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Among the finest known 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies, there was one particular coin. It was preserved in immaculate mint state, with full red coloring and no visible flaws, a true masterpiece of coin production, frozen in time. When that coin hit the auction block, its rarity and perfection captured attention immediately, and that 1 cent coin, from a year most people overlook, sold for an unbelievable price of $135,000. Yes, a penny, just 1 cent, sold for the equivalent of a luxury car, a house, or even a college education. That's the incredible world of rare coins. A world where age, condition, history, and rarity combine to turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. So the next time you're going through your change, flipping through an old coin album, or exploring a collection passed down from a grandparent, keep your eyes open. That copper penny you're holding might just be more than a memory. It might be a treasure hiding in plain sight. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey into the story of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you enjoy uncovering the mysteries of rare coins, forgotten fortunes, and hidden history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of our deep dives into America's hidden wealth. And always remember, sometimes, even a single penny can be worth $135,000. Stay curious, and keep searching. You never know what you might find next. Top 7. Most people don't think twice about a penny. It's the coin we often ignore, leave on sidewalks, or toss into a jar without much thought. But what if I told you that one specific penny, minted in 1954, could be worth more than your car, more than a year's salary, and in some cases, more than a house? Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And yet, that's exactly the story behind the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. You see, in the world of coin collecting, it's not just about what a coin is supposed to be worth. It's about the history, the condition, the rarity, and the tiny imperfections that make a coin truly special. And that's where this unassuming 1 cent coin becomes a powerful symbol of hidden value. Let's take a journey back to 1954. The United States was experiencing a post-war boom. Families were growing, suburbs were expanding, and the American economy was thriving. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was in office, and the country was deep into a new era of hope and prosperity. Meanwhile, behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint, millions of coins were being struck every day to keep up with America's booming economy. Among them, of course, was the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, the Lincoln cent had already become a classic. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, this was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it had captured the hearts of Americans for decades. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a side profile of Lincoln on the front, and on the reverse, two simple wheat stalks curving along the sides, giving rise to its nickname, the Wheat Penny. In 1954, the penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, while the Denver mint used a small D, and the San Francisco mint used an S. Combined, the 3 mints produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents that year, over 71 million from Philadelphia, over 251 million from Denver, and just over 96 million from San Francisco. With numbers like that, you might be thinking, how can this coin possibly be rare? And that's a fair question. The answer lies not in the quantity, but in the quality, and in a few extraordinary exceptions. Most of the 1954 pennies, like nearly all coins from that era, were used immediately. They were spent on newspapers, candy bars, soda, bus fares, and toys. They were passed from hand to hand, worn down, scratched, and tarnished by time. So, while many exist, most are in poor or average condition, worth only a few cents to maybe a couple of dollars to collectors. But every once in a while, a coin escapes circulation. Maybe it was tucked away in a mint roll, sealed in a collector's album, or passed down as part of a special keepsake. These coins remained untouched for decades, with perfect surfaces, sharp edges, full detail, and original red copper shine. These are known as mint state coins, and they are incredibly valuable, especially when professionally graded by top agencies like PCGS or NGC. And there's more. Some 1954 wheat pennies come with rare mint errors, things like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These accidents, made at the mint itself, turn ordinary coins into unique oddities. And when these errors are found on coins that are already in excellent condition, their value doesn't just rise, it explodes. Collectors search high and low for these perfect specimens, the ones that combine historic appeal, physical beauty, and extreme rarity. They don't just want a penny, they want the penny. The one that has it all. Now, when it comes to the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the value can vary widely. A well-circulated coin might sell for a few cents. A slightly better version, in uncirculated condition, could go for $5, $10, or even $50. High-grade coins, the best of the best, can easily command hundreds or thousands of dollars. But in extremely rare cases, when a coin is discovered in pristine condition with virtually no flaws, and possibly paired with a mint error, something incredible happens. Such a coin was found not long ago, a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny that stunned everyone. It had been preserved in near-perfect condition for decades. Bright red luster. No wear. Perfect strike. A top-tier example of craftsmanship and survival. It became the centerpiece of a high-profile auction, attracting attention from collectors across the country. And when the final hammer dropped, this little 1-cent piece, this coin that most people wouldn't glance at twice, had just sold for an unbelievable sum. That single 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny sold for a jaw-dropping $125,000. Yes, 1 penny. 1 coin. 1 moment in time, preserved through decades, transformed into a 6-figure treasure. So what does this mean for you? It means that coins aren't just coins. They're history in your hand. They're stories waiting to be discovered. And sometimes, they're fortunes hiding in plain sight. Check your drawers. Look through your old jars. Ask your grandparents. Because that 1954 penny that's been sitting in a box for years? It might be more than just old change. It might be a gateway to something much bigger. Thank you for watching, and if you love discovering the hidden stories behind rare coins, secret treasures, and the surprising world of collectibles, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a new story. Because your next penny might just be worth $125,000. Stay curious. Keep searching. And remember, even the smallest coin can carry a priceless story.